Hi everybody, it's Stephanie B from Career Makeover Academy. I'm also owner and creator of this group, Level Up Your Career. So today we're going to have a brief discussion about how to name your blog. This also it kind of applies to how to name a business or how to name anything really. And this question was brought to us by Rachel. So one of the first things that I want to say is don't stress too much about it. I mean, it's not a life or death situation if you can't figure out the perfect name for your blog. It is something that can actually be changed. I'm sure you're not going to be like an overnight sensation, like you're going to wake up the next day and it's going to be like, oh my God, everybody, I have like 5 million people that are like clamoring for more information from me. So if you pick a name and you decide within a couple of weeks this really doesn't fit, you can change it. You're not going to do any drastic damage to your brand reputation. But here's some things that you should probably consider when naming your blog. So the first thing is to think about your target market. So I mean, if you're trying to work with soccer moms, it's probably not a good idea to reference farm equipment in the name of your blog. So it's just sort of one of those things where you have to kind of look at your audience and think about the things that interest them. Another thing that you probably want to do is list some of the characteristics and things that the people that are your target demographic actually enjoy. Again, if it's soccer moms, it might be, paint and sips. It might be, you know what I mean? There's just so many different things that they would enjoy. And they don't necessarily have to be in alignment with your brand. It's just to get you a general idea of what kind of person that you're dealing with. And I forgot to put my bird away, so hopefully she doesn't fly over here and take a poop on me. But in the meantime, there might be a few little squawks, so you'll have to deal with that one. Hey, Jasmine, how are you? So another thing that you really kind of want to do if you're really starting out is look at other successful blogs that are doing the same thing that you're doing. That'll A, allow you to get more of an idea of your audience. B, it'll allow you to get more of an idea of the target words, of the words that they're actually using, and things that you can do to relate to them, and obviously use as a blog title, the blog name. Another thing that you want to consider is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just want to improve on it. So if you find a site that's doing almost exactly what you're doing and they're doing a great job, oh, I'm happy. Jasmine said she's doing fine, so hey, I'm happy that you're doing well today. But if you have someplace that's doing a great job, I mean, you can actually use it as a template. You don't necessarily have to just come up with things automatically outside of your own brain. You can use that sort of as research to help you to create something that's going to both appeal to your audience and feel authentic to you. Another thing that you might want to consider are books or movie references or quotes that you really feel deeply and engender the kind of message that you want to send to your audience, because those can sometimes just be like amazing fonts of just creativity and inspiration. And you're trying to create a tribe of people that are interested in the same things you are, so that if there's a quote or a book or something that just really inspired you, it may actually bring those people closer to you. And another thing too, using words from specifically from the title of the book is not, I don't know if that's necessarily okay if you do a direct quote. If you do, like, you can't just say the Catcher in the Rye. I mean, you know what I mean? You have to be kind of aware of the limitations and copyright laws. So I'm not saying like steal things directly, but you can kind of play on things and, kind of make them fun and interesting. And sometimes being funny is good too. Go for humor, go for something interesting, try to be original. You kind of want to find someone that has a following and see what they're kind of doing, or because it appeals to people for some reason. And even if you don't have like a marketing background and you don't know why it's appealing to certain people, you can use that to bring your audience closer to you. Another thing that is available out there are they have word generators. You can actually create titles based off of keywords. I don't have specific links, but I do know that it's kind of a thing that makes it a little bit easier when you're first starting out, because you may not have any real idea of where to even begin. So using one of these word generators is something that will allow for you to have some basic concepts of some words that you might be able to finagle and play around with. And also, some of these word generators allow for you to find out if it's actually a registered domain already. I know there's something called wordoid.com where they create like neologisms, like fake words based off of real English words. I think they use other languages as well. And so you can create really cool words that people can sort of identify with because they're based off of real words. But that website also tells you if that domain is registered. Some of the drawbacks are that sometimes they can be a little unoriginal, can be a little hit or miss, or they might not be overly personal to you. And you might feel like you didn't really name your blog. So that is something that you might want to think about when you're using one of these generators, as opposed to the next point that I have to make, which is to brainstorm. And brainstorming is like the best way possible to really come up with the name, because what you're going to do is list out a bunch of words that are related to the theme and the kind of material and your interests and the things you want to convey in your blog. You're basically going to dump a bunch of stuff down onto a piece of paper. You're not going to think about it that hard. You're just going to make it just a pure brain dump. So let's say you had a health blog. So you start out with like health, vitality, bliss, raw, vegan, simple, fun, recipes, hints and tips, life. I don't know. You can do a bunch of things. And then you can actually use a thesaurus. So like if I were to say health, that was the first word that I used, you could say energy, fitness, strength, well-being. You can say fettle, I think, is a good synonym. Form, prime, shape, stamina, state, tone, vigor. There's so many words that you can use, and you can put those words together in different ways. Don't think too hard about how you're putting those words together. So you may say raw fitness or vigorous, vital, vegan if you want to go for alliteration. Maybe something like fit, fun life, or raw state of bliss, or simple health, simple life. Just dump the words together, and you're not looking for quality, you're just looking for quantity, and you're looking for inspiration. So sometimes when you think too hard about these things, you just put yourself into a rabbit hole and nothing's ever going to sound great. Last but not least, you can use your real name. I know that Rachel had specifically said that her name was chosen, or hers was used already, but you can also look at including your middle initial or your middle name. So, if your name is Sue Smith and that's taken, you could say Sue Jane Smith or SueJSmith.com or .co or .me or .us. You don't have to use the same .com. You can use various extensions, and that will also kind of differentiate you from the mix. Also, like a nickname, if you had a childhood nickname that you thought was cute and fun, one of the cool things about using your name is you're creating a brand around yourself, and all the content that you create, when people are Googling you and coming up with like the topics that you've written about, they're going to associate that with you specifically, as opposed to just a general blog. So sometimes it's really nice to be able to use your personal name as your website URL, because then you actually are garnering authority and people are really relating that content to you specifically, and you become sort of a thought leader or an influencer. And last but not least, when you're going to pick a name, make sure that it sort of follows some basic rules. You want it to be readable. You don't want to have these like really complex things either. You don't want to be like using words that are only known to people in the medical field if you're not trying to only attract people in the medical field. You want things that are easily spelled out. You don't want to have things that are just really difficult to write out, because people will constantly mistype if they didn't bookmark it, or they won't even know how to find you. If they hear it verbally, then it's like, I don't know how to spell that word. They're not going to go. Another thing too is if you're in doubt, take a poll. Go to a group that you're interested in, or people that your audience would be hanging out in. Just go to that group and ask them, hey, here's some names that I was thinking of for my blog. Which ones do you guys like? And those people are more than happy usually to give their opinion on what they're most interested in. And that way, if you're in a group that is where your target audience is, you will actually be able to find out what your target audience is interested in. And it's a great way of doing research without having to go out individually and ask people. And no matter how you do this, just make sure that the name feels right to you. And again, don't put too much stress, don't put this huge onus of pressure on yourself to come up with the perfect name. Just make sure that you have a name that is it just feels right and it sort of fits. Okay, so I'm going to conclude this. We don't want to leave it too long. I hope we want to leave it kind of short and sweet. But I just want to say thank you very much, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.